Welcome to DIYcrafts.com, how to make a secret compartment floating shelf. Available on DIYeasycrafts.com, you can download free plans. You will have to purchase cabinet hinges. These are full overlay cabinet hinges available at Home Depot or any other hardware store. There are basically two assemblies to this floating shelf, the wall assembly and the hinged front assembly. We're working on the wall assembly first, and the bottom of that unit attaches to the back just with wood glue and some screws. The sides also attach in the same manner with wood glue and screws, but please be sure to insert these sides about 1/8 of an inch in from the absolute end of that wall unit. The reason for this is that when the hinged front is sliding over it, you don't want it to have to rub in those sides. And you could even put those in 1/2 inch. The only reason for the sides is to give support to the top, which will be screwed on at a later time. Alright, we're now moving on to the front hinged assembly, and this is basically just 3 pieces of wood, the front and 2 sides. Again, they are assembled with wood glue and screws. Once this is assembled, you'll see that the front folding assembly is actually slightly longer than the wall assembly, so it just slides right into place. We're just going to lay the top in place right now. It's actually easier to work on this unit without the top screwed in place, and that's how the front folds away. Now I tried to do this with a couple of different hinges, with piano hinges or with standard hinges, and there's just no way of doing it without an exposed portion of the hinge, which would give away the secret compartment. So really the best thing to do is to use the cabinet hinges as explained earlier. You will have to purchase a tool that can be inserted into any drill. It's just a small router, and it comes with its own jig for location. You just mark the location from the edge of the wood, and then you router a hole, basically just the depth of the router, and the hinge just gets inserted into that hole. Once the holes are bored, the hinges just screw into place with small screws which are included. The size of this floating shelf can be varied. You can make it longer, you could make it a little bit shorter. This one's about 24 inches long. You do want to be able to grab 2 studs, so the minimum that you'd want to make it width-wise would probably be in the 18-inch range, but you could certainly make it longer. We're going to encase the entire outside with molding, and in this case I've taken small molding and I'm going to attach it with wood glue and some finishing nails to the very top edge of the box. I'm then going to cut some additional strips of pine to fill in the void on the bottom. But first I'll put all the molding along the top. This is the side molding which I've cut. When attaching this molding, be sure that you don't drive finishing nails all the way through, because you'll basically just be in the hinged front assembly to the inner box, and you prevent it from opening. You can use finishing nails at the very end where it's going through the edge of the pine, or you can hammer a finishing nail about halfway through, just to tack it into position while that wood glue dries. Very important, before you attach the bottom piece of pine to cover the bottom of the box, you have to break the edge on the very front bottom edge of the wall assembly. The reason for that is when you attach that final piece of pine, it would actually bind, preventing that front assembly from folding outward. And you can do this with a file, you could do it with a sander, using a disc sander. Any way that you want to break that edge. And this is the piece of pine. I just cut it to the right height. Cut 45s in both sides, and I'll attach that also with wood glue and a couple of finishing nails. Again, I'm going to use those finishing nails just on the ends. I'm not going to nail through the through the front folding assembly. And we're almost done. This is the ends or the sides of the finished pine, which will finish the molding. And then once we sand and paint this unit and fill in all the little creases with some corking, it will look as if it's just solid molding encasing the entire box. And again, the finishing nail's not all the way. I learned that the hard way. And the floating shelf is basically almost done. We're just going to attach the top, which in this case is a 1/2-inch piece of plywood finished on one side, a little bit of wood glue, and some finishing nails. It's a very easy to make project, and there are downloadable PDF plans and a complete cut sheet available on www.diyeasycrafts.com. We're going to attach this unit to the wall with some large flathead, actually torque head screws. I like these. They're available at Home Depot or any other hardware store. They're about 4.5 inches long, and they're very, very secure. Again, each of these floating shelves should be attached to a minimum of 2 studs. And the finished product, the neat thing about it is you can leave whatever's on that upper shelf in place, and you can access whatever it is that you want to hide. Please check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Be sure to check out our other how-to videos, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel.